Hey everyone, we're back after a long break. There's a lot to talk about. We got everything from the trade deadline, which was going to take up most of this podcast. We'll also get into a little bit of Leafs news at the end, some of the injuries, Nick Robertson, some COVID stuff. But yeah, so we're just going to jump right in. We're mostly going to talk about the major trades. So I think there's about five major trades we're going to discuss, and then we'll talk about the Leafs trades at the end. Let's start off with the Palmieri trade. Palmieri and Travis Zajac get traded from the New Jersey Devils to the New York Islanders for Greer, Jobst, a first and a fourth. Um, yeah, like what do you guys think about this trade? It was the first trade that pretty much set the market, pretty much set the value in the market for most trades except for the Taylor Hall trade. But yeah, what do you guys think about this one?
It's not bad. Like we were talking about it before, and you guys thought that it was like kind of an overpay for the Islanders, which like I think it probably is a little bit, but it also gives them like two solid guys, which they needed because I think Anders Lee is out for the season. So I mean they needed some help up front, which they got. So I think it's a pretty good deal for both teams.
Yeah, like from what I know about Palmieri is he used to be a really good offensive player. I know he's decent defensively. And the thing is, like, he has his history with Lou, right? And Lou loves his. I think Jaskarin said this in our group chat. Lou Lamoriello loves his exes, so he brings back Palmieri and Zajac from his former team. They're good though. They bring a lot of veteran presence. He can play in the top six. I think he's pretty decent offensively. I've been using. I don't know if do you guys follow Jay Fresh Hockey on Twitter. Um,
Yep.
yeah, he's really
His
good. I,
his
I
little
like
like player tiles are great.
it's so great. It's like it's my favorite way to look at players because it kind of shows what they're good at, and like I feel like I'll probably be using him for a lot of these trades because it kind of lets you evaluate a player. Because of course, like I'm sure you guys are the same. I haven't been watching many teams outside the North Division, maybe here and there, but mostly just the North Division I've been watching. But yeah, so it says he has a 64% offense, 64% defense, 95% power play, which is perfect for that team. And the Islanders are a great like defensive team, so he brings a lot of that offensive punch for them.
I think Lou goes to where comfort spot is most when he's needed when he needs the most because he knows what kind of players he's getting in Zajac and Palmieri because he knows them from New Jersey. So I feel like when he gauges the market, he looks at what he likes in a player and to be honest, Lou loves the exes because he got Boyle back in I think 2016. Yeah, 2016 with the Leafs when they went to Washington. Yeah, he looked for the veteran presence. He doesn't trade for more young guys. If you look throughout his career, his whole career, he mostly trades for veterans when he needs them. Yeah, so he basically he goes back to his comfort spot whenever he needs a player to get.
Like to be honest, like I've been pretty critical of Lou and a lot of the trades he made with the Leafs. They weren't the greatest, but I do agree with Nadim that this was a good trade at the end of the day. Like I still think it's an overpay, considering that like I would rather have a David Savard on my team, or I would rather have Nick Foligno, and the payment was pretty much similar. They did get Zajac, but how effective do you guys think Zajac's really going to be? Like I don't know if he's going to be in their top six. Probably third
I
line,
think
maybe fourth line. I don't
I
know.
think it comes down to also like Barry Trotz is good at getting players that aren't that good to to play well. So I
Yeah, that's
think
fair. That's
if
fair.
anybody can make use of like these two guys and like get the most out of them, it's probably him. So I mean, I still think it's a good trade for both teams, and I agree it was a little bit of an overpayment, but I think like one thing we'll see with all of the big trades is like pretty much all of those big trades were a little bit of overpayments, which is pretty interesting because it
Can
seemed like
we?
it was going to be more of a buyer's market, but I don't know
Do
if
you
it turned out
guys
that way.
do you guys think Palmieri is gonna resign in New York, or is he gonna go back to the Devils? Because I feel like that's one thing. Most of the trades on the market, like besides like the Anthony Mantha one, most of the other trades on the market were rentals that have expiring contracts, right? So I think one thing we got to consider for each trade as well is that player going to go back and re-sign with the team they got traded from, or the team they got traded to, or a completely different team, right? Because I think
Yeah.
that's a big factor. So do you guys think Palmieri is going to stay in New York, or do you think he's going to want to go back to the Devils?
I think with
I
Lou,
don't know.
yeah, I think with Lou, he'll make a run at resigning Palmieri for depth, because you never know what Lee is going to, like the way he could be rusty and stuff to begin the season. With Palmieri, you can like you have that like you have that like how do I say this? You have the mindset, you have the comfort mindset, like you like you have the comfort mindset that he played with you for a while. It depends how he fits in with the system of Barry Trotz. That's what it depends on most. Cause look at Tyson Berry with the Leafs. He didn't fit in with the system. He fit in with the Keith system, but not that as well as he wanted to. Cause the Babcock could win him for like a good 2 months, and he couldn't score. He couldn't do anything properly, and Leafs fans started hating him. Like with Palmer, you gotta fit in with the system, and um and see where it goes from there. That's what I feel like.
In before Lute signs Palmieri for a Patrick Marleau type deal.
I wouldn't be surprised if signed into a Nikita Zaitsev type player. To be honest, he loves his exes. Like he loves them. Like that's what it is.
Honestly, though, I think they can get good value because it says he's making 4.7 mil this year, and he's definitely regressed like big time this season. Um, that's obviously with age, but yeah, like if Luke can get Palmieri for like 3.5 mil, like that's an amazing deal. So if they do sign Palmieri, for me, like I'm gonna say my winner and loser right now because we're gonna be pretty much saying our winner and loser for each trade. My winner is probably the Islanders. In the moment, I didn't love the deal, but now like I think it's pretty good. It'll help them go for a deeper run. Um, they're in the same division as Boston, right? Am I right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
So
The Rangers and Islanders and Devils are in the
so
same
I'm also
division.
glad because the more they beat Boston, the higher the chance Boston might not make the playoffs. We'll talk about that later too. But the loser for me, I don't even know if I don't want to say New Jersey's loser because they still got a good package back. Like I think Greer and Jobster prospects of some sort. So they still got something back. They got a first rounder, which is pretty good. The real loser is Kyle Palmieri's beard. That's the real loser of this trade.
Yeah, can we talk about that rule? That rule of clean shaving? Is it the
It
stupidest
was
rule I've
crazy
seen?
how fast he shaved it too.
Yeah,
Dude,
can we just like stop with the nonsense of beard shaving? Like why? Like why do you gotta do that? Like okay,
I don't even
Rachel
think it's
Doyle.
worth arguing about because you know he's not going to change the policy.
Yeah. So Rachel Dory on our listening Staff and Graph podcast with Mike Stevens and Rachel Dory. Because Rachel Dory used to work for the New Jersey Devils as like a development type of person. Like she used to work at development for the players and stuff. So what she said was Lou's like the most respected guy. He respects his employees, he respects everyone, right? But the thing is, players shave for respect, for like to fit in basically. That's what she said. To like fit in and have respect for Lou. That's what it is. What it is like. He doesn't force them to shave. It's just for respect.
You
That's what
know
it is.
what my theory is? It's have we ever seen Lou Lamoriello with the beard? Maybe he can't grow
He can't
facial
grow a
hair, so
beard.
like
He
yeah,
doesn't want anybody to.
it's just for
I
his
think
own
that's the
just a
best
self
theory
major
I've
confidence.
ever
asshole.
heard.
It's for his own ego.
I I'm gonna now pretend that that's the truth because I think
That's
that's great.
hilarious. Yeah, Danica, what
Yeah,
do you think about that
just
trade
for
though?
good measure. Oh.
Sorry, go ahead.
What trade is it? The Palmieri trade?
Palmieri
Yeah,
and
the
Zadar.
Palmieri trade.
Yeah, it was a good trade for Islanders, I think. You guys heard about what happened with Taylor Hall and Lou, right?
Wait, no, what happened?
How oh, I think it was Jaskrin. Did Jaskrin tell me about Lou
No,
Lamoriello? No,
no,
or maybe it was someone
we'll
else
get
then.
into that later. We'll get into that later. I want to talk about that too. We'll get into that later. Though.
Trust,
We'll
we're
get
gonna
into
have a
that
Oh, okay,
whole
okay.
to
segment
that
just on
trade.
Taylor Hall.
Yeah, we're gonna
All
do
right,
that
I'll
later.
bring that up later.
All right,
But
let's get everyone's
Kyle,
let's
Yo,
just get
I'm
everyone's
waiting.
winners and
Yo.
losers.
Waiting
Yeah, Harmon,
for
what's up?
Jack's gonna rant.
Oh, okay,
I'm
we're
waiting for
all gonna
Jack's gonna
rant,
rant,
man.
yo.
Each one of us is gonna have a rant on that. All right, let's just get everyone's
yeah, but
winners and losers so we can just get along, and we'll get to the other trades. So, just yeah, go ahead one by one.
all right, for this trade, I'd say Islanders won this trade, and I think Devils could have got a little bit more back. I don't know too much about the prospects, but I think they could have got a little bit more.
Yeah, it's fair. Like I think if they maybe waited a little bit closer to the deadline, they could have got like at least like an extra third round pick or something along with that package. But I guess they just wanted to get it done out of the way quick. All right, Nadim, you want to go next?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Islanders won. I don't think it was like a one-sided trade at all. Like I said, I think it was a good deal for both teams, but if I had to pick a winner, it'd be the Islanders. But yeah, like you said, I wouldn't classify the Devils as a loser, but I think the Islanders got more out of it or more benefit out of it at least.
Yeah, like I feel like it's not like a winner losers type of situation. It's just like it's a win win, but who's the bigger winner is pretty much
Yeah,
what the
exactly.
trade is. All right, Harmon,
Exactly.
what's your thoughts and your win lose on this trade?
I feel like you guys said, yo, they could got a better return for this trade pick, but yeah, I think they rushed in the trade, but the New York Islanders definitely won, and because they added scoring depth and they added leadership with Zajac, so obviously they're like the clear winner because they're going for like a playoff push, so they're the clear winner in this trade.
Yeah, like the Islanders got a lot better, and all they gave up was a first in a shitty draft year, so it's pretty good. And Tanigan, I'm sure your answer will probably. I mean, no, I think Jaskarn's next. Sorry, Jaskarn, I'm sure your answer is going to be the same as ours. What's your answer?
Yeah, I gotta give it to the Islanders. Mason Jobs, I just searched him up. He's 27 years old, so he's not much of a prospect. AJ Greer, I think a former second round pick in like 2015 or something like that. I'm not sure. That was a horrible draft that year, even though the draft class was stacked. Yeah. So no, the Islanders. That's Islanders. I'm sorry, but yeah. So um, I gotta give it to the Islanders. I think they fleeced the Devils here because Palmieri is a potential perennial 20 goal scorer. He can score 20 goals. Zajac a third line center death piece or like even a death piece. Yeah. So Lou, I think fleeced him. The first round pick, you know what it's gonna be. You know what's gonna turn out to be. You could draft like in this year draft. You know what's gonna happen. Like you could draft the third. You could draft the first. You could draft the third round in the first round. You never know what the draft class is pretty weak, from what I'm hearing. So you never know what the draft is gonna be this year. It could be a late first round pick. It could be a late second round. It could be like a it could be like an early 20, but you're drafting a guy from the early 40s. You never know what the draft class is gonna be. So yeah,
Yeah, like the draft. I feel like this is something that's probably going to come up in every single trade. Um, I think in the beginning I was really overvaluing the first, which is why like I know initially when we were talking about the trade in our group chat, I thought it was a complete overpay, right? And clearly by my answers now, like I've changed my mind, and I think I was even myself, I was overvaluing that first round pick. But like after doing some more research and stuff, people are saying that like the best players could be coming like the second, third, and fourth round of this draft. Like it could be one of those drafts where like the top 10 picks are all busts, and then you have like a second round full of studs, right? Just because of the
Yeah,
drafting.
I really think it's gonna be like that, and I think like the the best players are probably gonna come from rounds 2 and 3 because teams are just gonna take random shots in the dark for this whole draft, basically.
It's just like a lottery pick draft. Like just take your lottery
yeah.
tickets
It's
Yeah,
and
just,
hope
it's
for the
just
literally.
best.
throwing darts at the wall, hoping to stick. Right. It's
Okay,
that's
I
what
don't
it
want
is
to get ahead of
basically.
ourselves,
Yeah.
but okay, you know what? I'll save this for the Taylor Hall stuff. I was gonna talk about scouting. I will
Yeah,
say though
let's
that
let's save that.
I will say though about the Leafs though. I'm glad the Leafs gave away their first because I know Kyle Dubas and the Leaf scouting staff has been amazing the last couple of years. So I have no doubt in my mind that they can find a gem in like those early to middle rounds. But let's move on to the next trade. this was an interesting one. I'm not sure about this one. I think we're gonna have a little bit of disagreement with this one. So David Savard from Columbus. Shout out Columbus, by the way, who got amazing returns. David Savard goes for a first, a third, a fourth, and there's a roster player. I forgot his name. What do you guys think about this guy, David Savard?
I
So with
didn't think
David
he
Savard,
would fetch that much. I was just gonna say like I feel like this is an overpay from Tampa. Like I didn't think he was worth that much. Did Columbus retain salary on him?
Yeah, I think they definitely retain. Like Tampa's
They
pretty
must
close
have,
to the
right?
cap. Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like
no, no,
the
So I
to be
mean,
no,
honest though,
no,
I
no.
think retaining
So
this year is shouldn't even be part of the value. I feel like
it's like a given, yeah.
literally every single major trade value like contracts are retained. So I feel like that doesn't even add to the value at this point.
Yeah,
yes,
that's
so
fair.
Nadim,
I
yes,
feel like it is an overpay, but go ahead.
yes, so Nadim, so they retained, so the Columbus retained 50%, and the Detroit retained 25%. So Tampa's only paying
Right.
25%. So yeah, so go ahead
Okay.
with your point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't think he was that good to like warrant that many picks for him. But it seemed like just that was the kind of market that it was, where guys were going for multiple picks, like left, right, and center, except for Taylor Hall. Um, so I mean, again, I think it's a good trade for both teams. Like Tampa's going all in because they know that their window's closing, like with Stamkos and Hedman getting older. Um, so I mean, I can't really fault them for doing that, and they've been pretty good at drafting. So I'm sure that they're confident they can still get value out of this draft with whatever picks they have left. So I think it's a pretty good trade both ways, but I'd probably give the W to Columbus on this one just because of how many picks they picked up.
Yeah, David Savard is more of a right shot defensive defenseman. I think the way that Tampa played is more of the way Toronto played with the possession style kind of game. They play more of a forward check too, so they can get in on the body and stuff. Um, yeah, but like I think it was kind of an overpayment because um they had a strong left side. So they had last year they had Sergachev, McDonough, Hedman on the left side, but like right side was all like numb. Like it was Jan Nuta, Eric Chernak, and like Zach Bogosian, who's playing with Victor Hedman at times. Like Hedman just carried the load, but Bogosian was more of a service over defenseman. Yeah, so they bolstered their right side like by a lot because you shift on Jan Nuta, you shift on Luke Shen, you shift on like if I say Eric Chernak or something like that, because they're not Bogosian anymore. Like because they least have Bogosian. Yeah, so they didn't overpay, but they definitely addressed the need in like a right side defenseman that they didn't have last year. So yeah, you have Savard and a Hedman at the top here, which is kind of scary. Yeah, and my winner is Columbus because all the picks they got. I think they got a first and a third, and Detroit got the fourth. Yeah, so I gotta give it to Columbus because all the picks they got. But it's gonna be a win-win for me because Tampa got addressed the need, a big need in a right shot defenseman, and Columbus got magic beans, as Steve Dangle would say it, with this draft class.
Like okay, like I do say it's a win-win, but I don't think it's as much of a win-win as the Palmieri trade. I think for the Palmieri trade, like it was a lot more even. I think here, although David Savard's really good, man. Like I'm sure you guys still have nightmares about him, and I think he was on the Gavrikov line, right? Like it was Savard and Gavrikov, that pairing on
Yeah, I
Columbus.
think so. That
Yeah,
just completely
dude,
like
I still have
decimated our
nightmares.
offense.
That's what I'm saying. I still have nightmares about that. But
Yeah.
the thing is, again, I'm gonna refer to J Fresh Hockey. Literally, he's 95% defense and 9% offense, right? So he's pretty much useless offensively. He can't do anything offensively, but he's a stud defensively. And the way Tampa's built, I think this could be a key. Like think about like okay, TJ Brody, right? Like I don't know his J Fresh stats, like whatever his even strength offense, even strength defense is, but I would say TJ Brody's a lot better defensively than offensively, but he can still chip in. So to me, David Savard just like a completely like completely tilted version of TJ Brody, right? And I think that could fit really well in Tampa. So I do think it's an overpay. A first, a third, and a fourth is a bit much. But yeah, like in my opinion, I still think Columbus won. They got a good return back, but Tampa got much better with this.
Yeah, so I agree with Balraj too. Like Columbus won with the stuff that they got back, but like Tampa doesn't give two shits. Because like if you look at last year, they gave a first rounder for Coleman. They gave a first rounder for Goodrow, and then in 2018 they also gave a first rounder for McDonough. So like every year they're giving up first round picks almost every year, and it's working out. Because like who's the contender every year? Like if you had to pick one, it's
Tampa.
always Tampa. Yeah,
Tampa every year.
and like
Tampa's in
this
their
year
prime
again.
right now, right? Like that team
Yeah,
is in their cup window.
I'm looking at their lineup right now, and they have Hedman, Cernak, McDonough, Savard, and then they have Sergachev on the third pairing with Leafs legend Luke Shen.
Leafs
And like
legend.
the fact that they have Kucherov and Stamkos coming back in the playoffs, that's fucked up, man.
Yeah, Tampa's ridiculous.
Dude, it's actually bullshit
Yeah,
that they just put
Yeah,
Kucherov on
that's
the
the that that yeah
LTIR.
that's a loophole that you can exploit every year. Like
I mean, I guess
if
the
a
Leafs
cap
kind of just did that with
yeah
Anderson, right?
yeah if the cap start between
yeah,
And
them,
but
you
I'm looking
Nash.
just
at
put them
the
all together and you're fine, right? It's stupid, but it's a
I'm looking
loophole.
at the yeah, I'm looking at the projected cap hit right now, and like Tampa has 98 million, and then second is St. Louis with 90 million, and then Islanders with 88, and so forth. Like Tampa has 98 million in projected cap hit. That's fucked up.
Yeah, these guys are like $100 million team with an $81 million cap. Like,
What are the Leafs
it's
on?
crazy.
Leafs are, I think they have 83 million, but I don't think that
Oh,
includes.
Freddie?
I don't know. It kind of looks off for me
I
Yeah,
would
it
have thought
seems
they were
because
low.
like for
higher.
LTR, yeah, because their LTIR it shows as 2.5 million, but like that's not right, right? Aren't they supposed to have more
I
on
think
LTIR?
Yeah, it should be. It should be like 2.75 is only Nash, so Freddie should be on there as
Yeah,
well.
It
I
should be
think.
7.75. Yeah, it should be
yeah,
I
yeah.
7.75
think so.
against the cap. Yeah.
But even then, like Tampa's like so like using so much more space. That's fucked.
Yeah,
Harmon, what are your thoughts
but
on this
again,
trade?
they know that like they only have a couple of years left where they can really
But can we?
know that they're like
Can we?
one of the best
Yeah.
teams.
That's the thing. That's what we were talking about before about like when we were talking about what we want the Leafs to trade and whether we wanted to trade our prospects. Like I don't think the Leafs are in that stage that Tampa's in. You know what I mean? Like Tampa's in a stage where they have 3 4 years max, right? Where they can compete. The Leafs have at least 7 years. Minimum seven
I
years.
agree with you, but I also don't agree with you because we have Tavares, Muzzin, Brody. Like those guys are like all 29, 30,
That's true,
31
but
years old.
they're not our most important players, right?
They're not
Like
the most important ones. I agree. Like
like
the
if you
team will
go
still
back to
be
Tampa,
competitive after they're gone, but I
exactly,
do
right?
think that this is one of the strongest teams the Leafs will ever have, like in the Matthews era.
That's true,
And I
but
think
okay,
that's
think
one of
about
the
it
reasons
this.
we'll get to the trades later, but that's one of the reasons that Dubas decided
Let
this
me
was
counter you on
the time
this,
to
right?
go for it.
So Stamkos and Hedman, didn't they play with St. Louis when they went to conference finals? Like Martin St. Louis, they were on the same team,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, that would
So
have been like
Yeah.
what, 2013 or 14?
that's what I'm saying. So as a Tampa fan, not knowing the future, you would have said, "Oh shit, this is the best team Stamkos and Hedman will ever have,"
Yeah,
right?
that's fair. That's fair.
Right? So what I'm trying to say is, yeah, we have guys like Tavares. Tavares is a different story, but we got like Muzzin, Brody. I'll
Yeah.
even include Tavares, right? And these guys are gonna get bad, but they're not our most important players. And who knows? We have Nick Robertson, we got Amirov, we got Sandine
Yeah.
Liljegren. We don't
I
know
mean
what they're gonna be, right?
I see your point there. The only thing I'll say on that then is that Dubas has to be good enough that he can draft a Braden Point in the third round.
Dude, but we don't know
'Cause
what Nick Robertson is, right?
that's a huge difference. Well, he's not going to be Braden Point, I don't think.
He's
But
not, but did they
I know
think
what you're
Braden Point
saying.
was gonna be Braden
Is
Point?
there
Even
is there
Kucherov. Kucherov
potential
was a
there?
second
Yeah,
round pick.
for sure. But
You don't know.
you know, but I know, but I'm just saying Tampa literally drafted like two top 15 players outside the first round with Kucherov
Yeah,
on
that's
point.
true.
Okay,
They had to
And
guys.
develop them the
that's
right
one of
way,
the
right?
reasons that they're able to do this right now. And I mean, is it possible to do it? 100% it's possible, but that doesn't mean that it's going to happen. So I would still
Buddy,
hedge my
Rasmus
bets on saying
Sandin.
this is one of the best teams we're going to see, but
You guys.
that doesn't mean
Buddy,
that I'm
Rasmus
holding out
Sandin is
hope.
the next Lindstrom, okay?
Yeah, okay.
You guys, can we
Leaf
can we
fans,
can we
man.
talk about how they need to, yeah, man. Can we talk about how Tampa needs to get out of the cap? Like they can't keep getting away with it. Like Kucher's back next year. How does he maintain this team? You tell me. Like
Oh no, they're gonna
they
trade
treat
someone
Tyler
this
Johnson,
offseason.
they treat Yanni Gourde, but yeah, but they'll probably put someone LTIR and then be okay. We're good for this year,
No,
and then put LTIR
I,
next year, and then
I
we'll
think
go
what
for
happened
this year.
this
Like
year is Kucherov got injured. Like it wasn't like it was like I think he has surgery, right? So it wasn't like they just convinced him to go on
no, but
LTIR.
no,
But
but yeah, but the thing is, he's skating right now. He's been skating
so
for
here's the
last month
thing.
now. Like, why
Here's
is
the
he in the
thing.
lineup? That makes no sense.
Here's the thing. He was injured and he's on surgery, so he had to be put on
Yeah,
LTIR. Like he was out for what, like maybe 2 months in the
yeah,
season. So like no matter what, he was going on LTIR. So I think because they had that situation, they probably talked to
yeah,
Kucherov. They're like, look, you're gonna be out half the season anyways. Why not just rest until the playoffs and then come back? Because that way we can use the LTIR, right? It's not like they convinced. It's not like you remember with Joffrey Lupul where they literally just told Joffrey Lupul like go fuck off and go sit on LTIR for like the next three
They're
years,
like,
right?
we know you can play, but you're not going to play, so
Right?
goodbye.
Like that's a different story. But with Kucherov, he actually got injured, so he couldn't play, and
Yeah,
they just didn't see the benefit.
they're just taking an unreasonably long recovery route with him. Like he
Exactly.
probably
I
could be
don't
playing right
see.
now, but he still
Yeah.
has a valid excuse to not be playing.
Like, would you guys think if Kucherov would just willingly go off for the whole season? Like, you know what I mean? Like next season they can't just go to like Hedman and be like, "Yo, just sit out for the whole season." Like he's not gonna do that, right? Like,
Chill, just chill at home for 8 months, and then we'll bring you back real quick.
yeah. So I think next year they're gonna have to unload a bunch of players. Like,
Well, if you look at their cap friendly next year, who's coming off the books? Coleman, Goudreau, Savard, and Luke Shen, and Curtis McElhaney. Everybody else is already signed.
and do they have room for everyone else still? Like, are they still gonna be under the cap with that?
I don't know.
Somebody call up
I
Brandon
honestly
Pridham.
don't know.
Somebody
Yeah,
get Brandon
we
Pridham.
need Brendan Pridham up in here.
I'll join him into the
But
podcast feed. He can just give us his quick input.
to me, they have to get rid of Tyler Johnson. I would think. Like, guy's 30 years old. He's still making 5 mil for 3 more years after this season. But we'll see what they do. Yanni Gourde, Andre Palat, those guys are both signed. They all make around 5 mil.
But Stevie Eiserman is just getting so excited right now at the thought to get these players onto his team for draft picks.
Yeah, I would bet that that's the way they go because I would think they would want to maybe re-sign Coleman and Goodrow. I don't know, but
Okay, guys, I
yeah, I
think we
don't know.
need
The
to.
team's not young though.
Yeah, I think we need to get back on track though. We're not even done our second trade, and we're 30 minutes in. Sorry to cut you
Yeah,
off
that's
there, Dim.
not ideal. No, that's fine.
Okay. All right, Harmon, let's close off the David Savard trade with your thoughts and your winner and loser.
So like that was a great addition. As you know, Tom was always making moves to line up for the playoffs, and yeah, that was great. So I feel like the Columbus got like a lot of picks back, right? So then when the draft happens, as you guys are saying, like oh, like you can find teams in the second, third, or fourth, or whatever. Where how many picks you get? Yeah, so you got the first, third, and fourth. So they're gonna be stacked on picks, and then you're saying you can find them in the later round. So
they
like I think
actually,
it's a
yeah, they
Columbus got
actually are
the
first
better
and
deal
yeah, they actually
because
are first and third.
they're building a
So
future, right? Yeah, yeah. I feel like Columbus won this trade.
Yeah, I just I feel like my whole thing with this trade is I just compare the value that they traded David Savard for what we got Nick Foligno for, right? Like obviously it's a Leafs fan to me. I gotta compare everything to the Leafs, but like in my opinion, Nick Foligno impacts your team and the game a lot more than David Savard, right? And we'll get into Nick Foligno later. So let's move on to the next one. Jeff Carter to Pittsburgh for a third and a fourth. This is gonna be an interesting one. Um, the thing is, Jeff Carter used to be amazing, but he's 36 years old now. Um, another thing is, I'm just looking at his stuff right now, and he's actually signed past this year. Guys, he's signed for $5.3 million for this year and next year. So Pittsburgh stuck with him next year at a $5.3 million cap hit for a 37-year-old. And his stats are not amazing. Um, yeah, I don't know what to say. Like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's only 1 year. Am I wrong?
No, he's signed next year too. I was
Dude,
kind of
you're
torn
the
on this
Pittsburgh
trade
fan. You're the
because
Pittsburgh fan, Nadim. Let's get your insight.
yeah, I mean, I was torn on this trade because at first I was like, why? Like, why did they do this? And sending two picks over to take a $5.3 million cap hit seems like kind of an overpayment. Um, I think there are benefits. Like, obviously, he's a good player, good leader guy, and all that. But I mean, the Penguins have enough of that. So I don't really think that that was the driving force. The main benefit here that I see is that like he can play wherever they need him to play because he can play the wings and he can play center. So the Penguins have a lot of injury problems now and always. So I think they saw that flexibility as like a good way to like kind of close any holes that may open up in the playoffs. But I don't know. He's pretty old. He's obviously on the decline. I think he might help them, but I don't really know if he's a difference maker to the point where you take on a $5+ million cap hit and dish out two picks. So for me, I think it wasn't the greatest move. Like I think there were other guys out there that would have been better for the Penguins, but I guess we'll see how it goes.
Who's your winner and loser?
I would say the Kings are the winner here. They get a ton of cap space off the books and they get a couple extra picks. And like we said, I mean, third and fourth round picks are probably going to be pretty useful this draft because you can just throw more darts at the dartboard. So I would say the Kings because even next year with the cap crunch, like cap space is going to be valuable. So they can probably turn that cap space into even more picks and even more prospects down the road.
Yeah, man. Interesting stuff for sure. All right, Harmon, let's get your thoughts and your winner and loser.
So you guys are talking about the Jeff Carter trade, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, the Kings won this trade because they cleared a lot of cap space and he's getting old and he's not like producing as how he was before. So yeah, and they got some draft picks back, and that's a clear winner because if this draft is what you guys are saying it is, you can find gems. So it's gonna be a great draft for the Kings, and the Kings could potentially get another Kopitar or something they could find in the third or fourth round. You never know.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like, it's probably like to me one of the most clear cut ones out of this day, except for Taylor Hall. But yeah, just Karan, quickly, let's get your thoughts and your winner and loser.
So I'm gonna go to JFresh Hockey again. So his EV offense is 53%. Jeff Carter, his projected WAR is 13%. So wins above replacement is 13%. His EV defense is 19%. His power play percent is 30%. They're all in the red except QOC. I don't know what that is. And I think goals per 60 is
I think that's
77%.
quality of competition.
Yeah, quality of competence 90%. And goals per 60 is 77%. And he says, when I see Carter as a volume shooter, I mean it. His personal share of on-ice shot attempts 5v5 was 33% last year, 18-92, and 33% this year, 9%. So we take away from that is he shoots a lot. He has one of the highest shot attempts at 5-on-5 for I think it's last year, this year. I'm not pretty sure, but he's a high shooter. And what Brian Burke said when he came in was we need truculence. We need more truculence. Like he said with the Leafs and Dr. Tyler Big. You need more truculence, and he got there with Jeff Carter. But he gave up a third and a fourth, a conditional third and fourth, right? Is it conditional third and fourth?
I think so. I'm not too sure though.
I think so. I don't 100% remember.
Yeah, the conditional third and fourth, which is kind of hard to give a guy with 5 point whatever it was on his contract. It's a lot. It's a big contract. Especially in a flat cap world where the cap's gonna stay flat for approximately 2 or 3 more years. It's a lot to give a aging veteran that much money and give up that much assets for
Yeah.
him.
The condition on the pick is if the Pens make the Stanley Cup final and Carter plays in 50% or more of the games, the third rounder becomes a second rounder.
So he
Oh
makes
damn.
5.3. Yeah, so 5.3 he makes this year and next year for 2 million. 2 years. So 5.3 times two, and he gets second line time on ice, which he probably not gonna get the pen. He probably gonna get third line. Let's be honest. He's not jumping Malkin or Crosby. So yeah, so you can get third. You're paying essentially you're paying a third line instead of 5.3 million dollars a year, which is hella expensive for a very aging veteran third line. He can play the right wing, but I'm pretty sure you're not gonna take over Kapner against those space. So you're probably gonna pay. You're gonna overpay for a third line center basically in a flat cap role, which is kind of insane.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just looking at his stats and like 2018-19 played 76 games. How many points did he get? 33 points. Last year played 60 games, 27 points. And this year he's played 40 games, 19 points. So, I mean, a little better this year than last year, but $5.3 million for that guy is tough.
Yeah.
I feel like
I
every
don't know.
year we hear about a new winger coming to play with Crosby and Malkin, like Jason Zucker,
And
Galchenyuk,
they never
then it was
do.
Kapanen. Yeah,
Captain actually
I
was doing really well on the Penguins before he got injured.
yeah, injuries keep screwing them over.
Yeah, they always have terrible luck with injuries.
Yeah, Tanigan, how's Malkin doing on your IR and fantasy?
Bro, I'm so cheesed. I'm getting my ass slapped by Balraj in fantasy, but I'm gonna
Hey,
blame it
hey,
on my IR.
I wasn't gonna say anything, man. You brought it up. Just for the record, I was not gonna bring it up until the end of the
Bro, I'm
week.
Okay,
literally crying in all
guys,
three of my leagues.
no, guys, if let's say let's say this, can we blame it on the health and science staff of the Pittsburgh Penguins? Because the way every year goes, they keep on getting injured, keep on getting injured. I know it could be luck, but
Uh, the thing is, we
do they
can't
do
blame
they,
it without knowing
yeah,
what's
we
going
got
on behind the scenes. You know
yeah
what I mean?
yeah that's what I'm saying. Like you see Toronto's health and science staff. I know they can afford it, but the thing is, you gotta support your players. You gotta have a good medical team around them, right? That's what. Cause the way I look at it, you see every year, you see guys go down every year for the Pens. Like it's non-stop. Like you gotta stop it one way or another, right? I know it can be pure luck, like pure luck. I don't want that much Pittsburgh Penguins get, but it could be pure luck at them getting injured, right? But you see players nagging. You see the guys like Spezza, like you see guys like Matthews tonight who's out with the undisclosed injury. But you get to play, you play them out. Like you can't be having these injuries over and over again. It could just be pure luck, but I'm not entirely too sure, right?
I'm just
I'm not
gonna go
sure.
ahead and say it's karma because like last decade or in from 2000 to 2010, they had a lucky few years where they drafted Jordan Stahl, Fleury, Crosby, Malkin, all within like a 5 year span or something.
Latang, Chris Latang.
Yeah, Letang, like, and add in the fact that they were transitioning from Lemieux and Yager to that era. So I think it's hockey gods like just shitting on them now with all these injuries.
It probably won't
Nah,
last
but
as long
Jaskier, you're right,
as the Leafs karma did.
bro. Like, I don't think I've ever heard of Robida Island, like anything like that, until it came to the Leafs and their injuries.
Yeah, but I think now that I think Jiskaran mentioned it, like he's comparing our how our staff has been treating the Leafs, and like talk about Spezza, you talk about Matthews injuries and stuff. But the thing is, like, it's tough to do that because the Leafs are literally like the pinnacle right now of like good management, right? Maybe Tampa, but in terms of like organizational professionalism, like how professional the organization is, I feel like Leafs are like head and shoulders above the rest of the league in terms of like their facilities, their staff, and all that stuff. So it's tough to compare it to Pittsburgh when one, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and just Garden, you mentioned that like we don't know, and two, the fact that like like it's just I don't know like the Leafs have been pretty lucky. Maybe it's like Pittsburgh's unlucky, and I don't know. We'll see though. I think let's get back to the trade though. Let's get back on topic. I'll give my thoughts. Yeah, I don't know if anybody mentioned this, but I did you guys see that tweet where it was like there's always every time there's this guy, I don't know who the tweet was, but somebody posted he's like every time I look at Pittsburgh's lineup, there's always like three new random wingers who are just going off in their middle six. Right? So
Mark Donkin Buzz Simmons, right? That tweet, but Mark
yeah.
Donkin Buzz Simmons every night.
Yeah, it's like
that
literally random ass players just show up and go off of Pittsburgh,
yeah,
right?
that was, that
So
was, that was people acting the fool him in on Twitter. That was hilarious.
yeah, so like the thing is, I do think LA won this trade. Mainly, if Jeff Carter was 1 year, I think it would be a toss up because for the reason I'm about to say, and I just said, like Pittsburgh can put Jeff Carter in a position to succeed as they've done with all these random wingers we've never heard of, right? So Jeff Carter could do well, but it's just the extra year that really puzzles me because, like, I don't know, like, what are they gonna do? Like, Crosby and Malkin are not getting any younger. Malkin's injured, and who knows if his longevity is gonna keep going like with his career. And you added $5.6 million, $5.3 million on a 36-year-old for next year. But I don't know. All right. I'm not sure who I didn't get to. I think the Negan just Garden still have to go, right? So you guys want to give your thoughts and your winner and loser?
Yeah, you guys already summarized it nicely. Like Pittsburgh, they got to go all in this year and next year and so forth because Crosby and Malkin aren't getting any younger. But like they could have easily gone after someone else. Like even if you had to give up a little bit more for Palmieri, right? That would have been a lot better than getting a aging forward in Jeff Carter.
Dude,
But
exactly.
yeah, like yeah,
One thing that I just did remember that I'll say is I'm pretty sure the Penguins management said that they want to keep trying to win, but they don't want to keep like mortgaging the future basically. So I think it was like a mandate by management that they didn't want to trade their first rounder this year. I don't know if I agree with that, especially considering the way the draft's going to go. But I think they wanted to find a way to like add a piece without trading any high round pick so that they could kind of work on the draft side a little bit at the same time. So maybe this was like the best they could do with the mid round picks, seeing everybody else going for like first and second rounders, but I don't know.
Buddy, Dubas is gonna go and trade off Careful for their first round pick like this year, just like he did last year with Kapanen.
I'm down. I would take that.
So next, this is a big one. Anthony Mantha for first, second, Vrana, and Panic. I think we were all so confused about this trade. I think I kind of figure out what's going on, especially after looking at like the Jay Fresh stuff. So I've been looking at that, and it turns out that like let's just look at even strength, right? So even strength offense, Anthony Mantha is a 93%, Jacob Vrana is at 86. But then when you look at defense, like Anthony Mantha is at 87% defense versus Vrana's 38% defense. Like, yeah, Vrana hasn't been playing that much time. I think he's like a third liner or something like that, it says here. But that's something I didn't realize when we first heard about the trade. So that's pretty good, man. Like, he's really good defensively as well, which is good for Washington. I think I mentioned this to you guys as well. I don't know, depending on how much Vrana wants as an RFA, that might be a part of the reason. Like, I think we all agreed that Vrana's probably not going to ask for more than 5.7. But I think what Washington might want out of Mantha is that term. Like Mantha signed for 3 years, and he could exceed above his contract if all goes well, right? Like I remember when Mantha first came to the league, like I think he had 50 goals in junior, or was it the college or junior where he had like 50 goals. He came in. I don't. The Negan probably has a lot to say as this as a former Detroit fan, but he's a really good offensive player. He's only 26 years old. He's 3 more years, which fits into Ovi's timeline for his career. Yeah, I think it's a good trade for Washington. I kind of understand more of what's going on now, but it's hard for me to give a clear winner. I think I will give the winner to Detroit though, because although Vrana isn't as good defensively, Vrana's a stud offensively. He's 25 years old. He's an RFA. They can afford to re-sign him, and they got a first and a second round pick. So yeah, for me, my winner is probably Detroit. But I do now understand why Washington did the trade.
I can understand the logic, like especially like when you talk through it, but I disagree with it. Like I still think it was a bad trade for Washington. Like I see what you mean in terms of getting the term, the cost certainty, and like I think that has value, but like I don't know, like Vrana is a good player. He's still young and getting better every year. And not only do you get rid of him, you get rid of a first rounder and a second rounder, and you get rid of Panic, who's like he's not really a difference maker or anything special anymore. But I mean, if you're gearing up for a playoff run with how unpredictable things have been this season, I don't think it's ever a bad thing to have some extra depth from a guy that you know can play decent hockey for you. So I don't know. I think Detroit is a huge winner here to get a first and a second and a great young player in Verana. I think it was a bad trade for the Capitals. I think they could have done a lot more with those assets if they really wanted to move Verana out. And I don't think that Verana would have ended up making more than Mantha, especially not in the next 3 years. And they just signed Connor Sherry to $3 million a year for the next 2 years, like the other day. So, I mean, they could have put that money towards Verana. I think he's definitely a better player than Sherry is. So, I disagree with it a lot, and I think it's a big W to the Red Wings.
To Stevie Eiserman, man. Stevie Eiserman
Yeah,
has been
he's
one
a
of the
wizard.
best GMs in the league.
He's a wizard.
So so the way I think of it, and like Peter LeBron tweeted this out too. So, okay, I'm gonna go with what Brian McLennan of the Washington Capitals said. He's a GM. He said he saw a frustrated player on Jacob Brana. Body language was frustrated. Team gave it time to try and work out. Ended up moving on. And also there was a tugging war between coaching staff and staff that have had him and the way he was playing. So they're frustrated with him, even though he was producing offensively. Um, so the way they thought of it is they could flip him for a potential like replacement for Manta, Verano, which was Manta, and so Detroit saw that and asked for first in return for Manta because Manta is cost certainty, so they have 5.7, right guys, $5.7 million against the cap, right? If I'm correct.
Yep.
Okay, so and then on top of that, I remember Richard Panik was on waivers before then. Richard Panik wasn't so they wouldn't to move that contract. So the way they thought of it, they take Richard Panik, who's at 2.75 for the next 2 years after this year, in a flat cap world. So they end up taking a second and Panic and a second to get that contract off the books. So in a flat cap world, that matters a lot too. So essentially, they traded Mantha for Verana and a first, and for Panic and a second, they took the contract off the books. That's how I think of it. And with the cost certainty of Mantha, they got what they needed, right? So that's how I think of it. But Eiserman still fleeced them, to be honest with you. Verana's a good scorer. Like going back to J Fresh Hockey, who's a really excellent source here. Jacob Ryan, acquired by Detroit, has been stuck on the third line minutes, but he's one of the league's most efficient goal scorers at 5v5. Has the action shot and is no slouch at driving offense either. So his EV offense is 86%. He doesn't play more defensively, 38%, but finishing is at 93%. And his goals per 60 at 99%. So they got a good guy there. And Richard Panik, acquired by Detroit, is a perfectly good bottom six winger with 2 years left at $2.8 million. Not bad value, but not the kind of deal most teams want in a flat cap environment. So that's what essentially I said. Like the flat cap is where like contracts like these go or die because he's a bomb sling. We're gonna be making $2.8 million against the cap, which is not ideal. Not what you like in a bomb sling guy. So they essentially dumped the second for two less years of Richard Panic. So yeah.
Yeah, so like Mantha was drafted in 2013, and that was a draft year where we got Gauthier as well. And Detroit took Mantha one pick before we did. And I remember me and Balraj, we were like all excited about Mantha, how Toronto was gonna draft him. And then we end up drafting Goat, like Freddie the Goat. That was such a disappointing year. But
Man, that's what I'm saying. Mantha was
like
so hyped up when he first came in the league.
yeah, that guy was scoring like 50 goals in the queue.
You know what I wanted that job? Hunter Shankark. He went to
Oh
Vancouver
yeah,
Canucks,
yeah.
but he
What a
turned into
flop.
Yeah, he was
nothing. So I
hyped
was
then
like,
too.
whatever, yeah.
Goat was better than him at least.
But like Mantha ended up winning the championship in the AHL the next year, 2013, 2014 year. And like he had 57 goals in 57 games that year. That was fucked up. But like going to Detroit kind of fucked him up because who does he have to play with, man? Like he had Larkin and
Dude,
who
that's the
else?
thing. He spent his
Like
whole career on that shitty Detroit team, right? Like he could very well go
yeah,
to Washington and just pop off now that he actually has teammates.
he's playing with Backstrom and Oshie. That's messed up, right? You have like another Ovechkin Backstrom duo going on
Yeah,
there.
and like this guy is a stud defensively too, right? So it's not only that he can score, he's really good in his own end. So like
Yeah,
I do still think that like Detroit won this trade, but if Mantha just goes off in Washington in the next 2 years, like it could easily end up being the reverse, right? Especially if those draft picks do end up being nothing like we think they do in this draft.
yeah. Like I think Vrana is he's like a Ehlers Nylander level player, right? Like he could be that good, I guess. But he's not reaching his full potential on Washington. So I think Washington knew as well, right? Jaskrin read that the comments from the GM how they're not using him to his full potential as well. So like if it was just one for one, I would say that would be a fair deal. But the fact that you had to add in like all those draft picks, just like that's fucked. Well, Yasserman knew that he had like that Washington needed to make that trade, so uh, you can't do much against Yasserman, man. Like if you're dealing with them, you know you're gonna get the losing stick.
Dude, just don't pick up the call when he calls you. Like it's simple. Like why did these DMs not know this by now?
I want to see a deal between Dubas and Yasserman.
It won't happen.
Has
Dubas
there been one?
knows. I don't think so. Unless I'm wrong, but I think Dubas knows not to deal with Iserman because he's trying to do what Dubas tries to do to other GMs.
Honestly, and I'm looking at the fancy stats for uh, like Manta's first game with Washington, and it was pretty good. So like we'll get a better like look as the sample size increases, but I'm guessing like on Washington playing with Backstrom and like other playmakers, he's gonna have a good time there.
I have the best quote ever in terms of Yzerman and Sakic from Rachel Dory. She said, "Either way you slice it, Steve Yzerman and Joe Sakic are playing 5D chess, and Jim Benning is gluing macaroni pieces to construction paper."
Holy crap, I'm dead.
And I just think that's amazing because it's so true. Like you see these guys making these crazy high value plays, coming out ahead in basically every move they make, and then you see Jim Benning somehow tearing down the Canucks organization that he built and making the team worse. and yeah, Canucks are very questionable right now.
Man, if Benning's gluing macaroni pieces, what the hell is Buffalo doing?
I think they're eating the macaroni pieces even though they're not cooked.
They're eating the unboiled macaroni pieces
Yeah,
only.
they're eating the raw macaroni pieces.
Okay. We're gonna move to Buffalo in a second. Let's just finish off Harmon. Let's just quickly get your thoughts, and then we'll move on to the main attraction of the show.
Yeah, what I think about this trade is like it could go either way. because if like Manta wasn't on a he wasn't on a real contending team because Detroit was like bad, and they only had Dylan Larkin, but like they weren't really clicking, and he dealt with injuries um in his career, right? So like I, that kind of held him back from like his real potential because he is a big scoring threat, and he's like the big body, you know, both defensive and offensive forward. So like he could provide that with the Capitals. Um, and so I feel like if you're going on the Capitals, like they're good on the first like top two lines, even like the third line, I think. But like the first top two lines are going to be set, and you got like Anthony Mantha on there, so that's going to be a good opportunity for him now to compete with, he's going to be playing with Ovi and stuff on maybe like the top power play unit. So like that's going to be like a good opportunity for him as well. And yeah, and I feel like Steve Eiserman's like the GOAT of GMs, like one of the GOAT of GMs, because he got like the first, second, and he got Jacob Vrana who could, turn things around, which he wasn't producing in with the Capitals, because he was playing on third line, right? I'm guessing, and yeah, so I think Vrana still has like potential because he's like a year younger too, and he could turn his game around on the Red Wings, and as they acquire the first and second, that first and second could turn into something. But if this draft class is weak, so that it could, maybe factor in like them being nothing. But we shall see. And I feel like the Detroit Red Wings won the series.
Yeah, man, exactly. Like clearly Detroit won. I think we all said that, but I think this is the type of trade where maybe a year or even a year and a half, 2 years from now, you can look back and actually see who won the trade, right? Because there's a lot of question marks on both sides. Like, what's Vrana gonna want in his contract? I don't think he's gonna want Manta money. How is he gonna perform in Detroit? What are the first and seconds gonna be, and how good is Manta really playing on a team that can actually compete and score goals, right? All right, boys. This is the moment
Yo,
you guys
wait
have
one
all
second. I
been.
do want to make a comment.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I want to make a comment. I'm saying if like imagine instead of Jeff Carter, the Penguins got Connor Garland.
Yeah, bro. Like
That would have been a crazy
that would have been
thing.
crazy, man. Like
That would have been a
I
trade.
I think it's what Nadim was saying though. Like they don't want to give up their future or whatever it is. So like the cheapest option they could have got was probably Jeff Carter. But
Yeah,
still, it's a L.
true, true, true.
Yeah, Connor Garland was supposed to go to the Leafs actually, but we'll get into that as well. All right, yeah. So back to the moment you guys have all been waiting for. I'm just gonna let it loose, man. Taylor Hall, Buffalo, everything about it.
Is
Go
this the
ahead,
part where you
Okay.
guys.
just laugh and then move on to
Like
the next
Can
segment?
I? Can I go first, please? I wanna go
Where
first.
do we start,
Go
yo? Where do
go
we start?
off.
Who's gonna
Go
start
off,
first,
man.
yo?
Can I go first? Can I go first? Okay.
buddy, go for
So
it.
okay.
He's hyped.
So how do you
This is the
how do
most
Yo,
you
I'm
excited he's
laughing,
been the
yo.
whole podcast, man.
Oh no, like
seriously
hands down.
seriously
This is like the final moment, so yeah.
how do you like okay I know where to start. So how do you get less for Taylor Hall than Sam Bennett going to Florida? So essentially Sam Bennett goes to Florida for 2 second round picks. And thing and Buffalo gets Buffalo gets Buffalo gets a second round pick, and you get Andres Bjork, who's a 25-year-old who hasn't produced on a stacked stacked Boston Bruins squad. So um another point, Rachel Doyle on the Staffing Our podcast, the latest one. I sent you guys a clip. I think you guys watched it. They said that she got a source. She used to be in the development staff for New Jersey Devils, so she has sources. Um, the source was that the source said to her that Buffalo called up Buffalo Islanders offered the same package that they did to the Sabres. Uh, sorry, I'm so confused. I'm all over the place. I'm too excited. So they so they offered the Islanders offer the same package as they did to the Devils to the Sabres, and the Sabres like will get more. We'll get more for Taylor Hall. And then Boston called him straight away. Okay, the market dried up. Like, okay. And Kevin Adams has no prior experience, and he's a rookie GM with no one behind him whatsoever. So, so, so according to NHL.com, Terry Berguda and Kim Berguda are the president and CEOs, and then you have Kevin Adams, the general manager, and then the executive assistant you have Nadine Leon. I don't know who the hell that is. I don't know who the fuck that is. And the price, and then they have the vice president of hockey administration, and the director of scouting. So there's no one. There's absolutely no one that has prior experience to help out Kevin Adams in the situation. So you're basically making a freaking, you're basically making a a rookie GM fail, cause they don't know how they got the market. They don't know how you can't hire Brian Burke like Ron Hextall got hired and Brian Burke got hired as president of hockey operations. You have no one, like absolutely no one to help Kevin Adams, and he's a rookie GM. Like you're expecting him to get something for Taylor Hall, and you offer him $8 million, and you retain half, and you only get a second round pick. How is that possible? And especially in a black cap world, like how is that possible that you have no one whatsoever to help your like stop being cheap. Like you're a professional organization. Stop being cheap. You gotta hire the right people in place to help like a rookie guy gouge the market. Like learn how to gouge the market. Learn how to like talk to GM, talk to this and talk to that. Like Don Sweeney just robbed him point blank. Like, you can't be doing that all the time. Like that's what it is. Like how did the Panthers get more? How the Flames get more than you got for Taylor Hall, who's the expected goal scorer? I don't know the market dried up. You made the market dry up. Like how's that possible? That's where I'm gonna end my rant. Like that makes no sense.
All right, well said, just Karin. We got I'm sure everyone's gonna have a lot to say. All right, well, I have a bunch of thoughts about this trade. To be fair, like I don't think they were getting a first round pick, and I'm sure you guys heard this all around like Twitter and stuff. Apparently, nobody wanted to offer a first round pick, and I think the reason is like his reputation sucks. Like going back, like I did a bunch of research after this just to try to figure out what the hell is going on with Taylor Hall, right? So going back to when he was in Edmonton, a lot of people in Edmonton media were saying he's a locker room cancer. Like I think near the end of his time in Edmonton, apparently he didn't want to talk to his coaches. He refused to talk to the coach, right? Like we look at how shitty Babcock was, but did you see Austin Matthews refusing to talk to him at all? No, like as a player you still put up. And then there's also a lot of reports from different like people that were in his organizations saying that he's the type of player where if he's down in a game, he just gives up on the ice. He stops skating, he stops hustling, he stops playing, right? So I think there are a lot of character issues, and I think around the league, it's ruined his reputation. Um, he's been elite offensively in the past, but the last couple of years, he hasn't been elite at all. And going back to it, like no teams were interested in him. Apparently, like some of the biggest teams on the market, like the Avalanche, the Caps, and the Leafs. What do those three teams have in common? They have competent management, right? And these guys did not want Taylor Hall. They weren't even in the running. The Avalanche were not in the running. They could have got Taylor Hall if they wanted to. The Leafs could have got Taylor Hall if they wanted to. Of course, like Galchenyuk emerged, and he's part of the reason. But still, like Avalanche and Caps preferred to go get Nick Foligno over Taylor Hall, right? So there's clearly something wrong with Taylor Hall. And you really think no other team would have wanted to pay that price? Like, I, I know he had his no. I think he had his no move clause, and he wanted to go to Boston, but I don't think his no move clause was only one team. He had to give a couple other teams, and those other teams weren't willing to give up more than a second round pick for him. I don't even know if I blame Buffalo for that. I think it's just a Taylor Hall problem, right? Um, he's only played in 14 playoff games in his 8 or 9 seasons. Um, I don't know, like what I see him being now is like he could succeed. He could blow up. This is the best team he's ever been on. He could blow up. But what I see him being at his best is a one-dimensional secondary scoring option, right? Like to me, okay, he might have a similar role as Nylander, right? Like what is Nylander? He's our one-dimensional secondary scoring option, right? Behind the Matthews line. But would you guys rather have a Nylander or a Taylor Hall on the team? That's my question, right? Like I don't know. Like to me, like I would rather have a William Nylander on the team than Taylor Hall.
I think at his peak, Hall is a better player than Nylander.
He
I
is,
just
but
don't know if
that's true.
he's
But
there anymore.
exactly, and that's the thing. There's a huge question mark. Like especially because he just shit the bed in Buffalo. Like how long is it going to take him to rebound? Will he rebound, etc.?
Well, so here's my. Are you? Do you have something else that you wanted to say
No. That's all for
before
now.
I go
Go
off?
for it,
Okay, so
dude. Go for it.
so here's where
Ariel,
I'm at with
let
this
me
trade.
tap you. Let me tap you into the ring. There you go.
Here's where I'm at with this trade. So the return is obviously disappointing for Buffalo. I agree with you in that I don't think it's their fault though. And I think that there's a few reasons there. Like one of them is being Hall's reputation, like you said, not great. Whether that's like reasonable or not is questionable, I think, given like the terrible teams that he's been on his whole career. Like I would be pretty frustrated at that point too. The other thing is that it's Buffalo, and people knew that they had to move him and they were desperate. And the third thing is like he had the no move clause, so he could veto basically any trade that Buffalo came to him with. And I was doing some research too, and I saw that he's always really wanted to be in Boston. He wanted to go to them as a UFA last year, but the cap numbers didn't work out. So I think it's very reasonable, or like very possible, that he just told Kevin Adams, he's like, if you trade me, I want to go to Boston, basically. And maybe he gave a list of like three or four other teams, like you said, but it's possible those other teams were like Toronto and Colorado, and those teams didn't want him. And so the only real team that he'd go to was Boston. And if the Bruins knew that, or even if they didn't, they knew they had more leverage than Buffalo in that situation. But the thing that I want to come back to is, and I was listening to the Steve Dangle podcast, and they discussed this as well, and I think it's a pretty valid point. It's like in this season where no team has cap room and no team has like money to spend, the Sabres essentially just paid $8 million for a second round pick. Like they just bought a second round pick for 8 mil. But I think that they could have gotten way more than a second round pick if they had used that $8 million in a different way. Like whether that's signing two or three other smaller UFAs and then trading them for picks, or taking on dead cap space or bad contracts from other teams and getting picks and prospects, or even like spending $8 million to hire an advisor for Kevin Adams and getting scouting staff. You know what I mean? Like, I think that there's just way better things they could have done with that money, um, and they chose to put it into Taylor Hall. And I think if you're doing that, then you don't give him the no move clause. Maybe you give him a partial no move clause, so you have like 10 or 15 options instead of like two or three. But I just think it was a bad plan from the start, and this is the result of it. It didn't work out well, and in hindsight is 2020. But with hindsight, looking back, like I just think it was a bad move from the beginning when they signed him. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, like what were they really expecting?
Yeah, exactly. Because they knew the cap was going to be flat, so they knew it was going to be hard to trade him at the deadline. And then on top of that, you give him the no move clause, so you know that automatically takes out the majority of the teams, because he's only going to go to a contender, and then there's only so many contenders that have the space for him. So I really don't know what they expected. I think they were probably banking on it being a guaranteed first round pick, but if you look at the situation and the context in the rest of the league, like there's really no way that was going to happen.
All right, who wants to be tapped in next to go destroy Buffalo's life?
All right, I'll go in next. I'll take it
All
easy on
right,
the guy. All right.
go all in, man. Savage mode.
Nah, either you
Nah, you
obliterate
guys,
him or you don't talk at all.
bro. Was it like last year? Did he decide to sign in Buffalo? Like, did he have a choice, or is it like
Bro,
any other team?
No.
I think he could have gone
I'll
to
tell
any
you.
team that had the cap space.
Yeah,
No,
why the fuck would you go to
no.
Buffalo?
No, no, I'll tell you
Buffalo
so.
was the only one that could pay him that money.
No,
That's the only team that would have gave him the no trade clause, man.
No, I'll tell a story. So there was several teams interested in him, but the market dried up so bad, and he wanted so much money that Buffalo was the only place to go to. So it's his fault. It's essentially his fault. He dried up the market, and Buffalo's like, okay, we'll give you the Buffalo's the only one that gave him the money that he wanted, and he went there. That's his fault. So blame it on him. Blame it on him.
But then from Buffalo's perspective, if you know you're the only team giving him the money he wants, then you don't give him the no move clause.
Dude, exactly. Like, why give him the no
You have
move
to
clause
leverage
if he's
it.
only
It's so stupid. It's so
You know what I mean?
like,
Like,
I
you don't need to give him
I
the no move clause. You
I
tell him
don't-
either you
I
get a
don't-
no move clause and
I
play for
don't.
less money elsewhere, or you get your money and you play here, but no move clause.
Yeah, listen, I
Not
don't
really
understand
both.
Buffalo. I don't understand how they manage how to do anything. Like, could have 6 scouts. Like, how the fuck is that possible? Okay, Taniki, you go ahead. I don't want to go on. Go ahead. Go ahead, Taniki. Go ahead.
So like, it's hard to feel bad for the guy because like it's his fault for signing in Buffalo and like waiting that long. But like, I don't know, man. Like this year is this like remaining this playoffs is like the pinnacle playoffs for him because like now we're gonna actually see him play for a proper team, and if he fucks up, like who's gonna pay for him in free agency? You're not gonna see a lot of teams like lining up for him if he doesn't play good for an actual contending team like Boston, right? So I don't know. Like I still think he's a good player. Obviously, when you play for teams like New Jersey, Arizona, Buffalo, Edmonton, like you're obviously gonna feel like shit. You're not gonna want to play properly. It's like what Ryan O'Reilly said, right? When he played for Buffalo, like you didn't want to play, right? So it feels like Taylor Hall's entire career has been like that, playing for shitty teams. If he plays like shit for Boston, then I'm not gonna defend him anymore. But for now, I'm gonna say it was a good move by Boston, and if they win the cup this year, oh man, Taylor Hall is gonna be like he went from being the worst, like having the worst luck, and if they win the cup this year, like what are they gonna say about him next?
Oh man, I don't know, man. I don't even want to imagine that possibility. Then again, thank you for giving me some nightmares that I'm gonna have tonight about Boston winning a cup. Harmon, you want to tap in and finish Boston off, like and like in
Yeah, bro.
finish him.
Uh, all I'm gonna say is that Buffalo. Oh my gosh, they made the worst move ever, man. Like, yo, you could have got so much more than just what they got. What was it, like a second and a second Bjork? Like, bro, you could have like a top A prospect, a first and a second. But like as you guys are saying, he's not worth a first. So like they could have got a top A prospect, a second and third. Like that would have been like a good deal. And maybe like a player to play on like on their active roster, like a good one, not like Bjork who hasn't been producing. So basically what Boston did was uh turn the trade difficulty to easy, and they just basically robbed Taylor Hall from them. And also I want to mention that yeah, Taylor Hall hasn't been good, but like look at the teams he has been playing on, right? Like New Jersey, Edmonton, I don't know like what happened there. He just like didn't like maybe like he just didn't click with them like the chemistry and stuff. But yo, New Jersey, Buffalo, um, Arizona, like he
Buddy,
didn't like
Arizona has Phil Kessel. Don't even talk shit.
yeah, Leafs legend, Phil Kessel. But yeah, I don't know like what's going on like with their management. Like, what does the owner think of this? Like, isn't he, like scratching his head, like saying like what the fuck just happened? Like he just traded like a star winner for like nothing in return. So like I don't know like what's going on. As I said before, they should just move that franchise, get them the fuck out of there, put like a place that where they will actually cherish the city and cherish the freaking culture. I don't know, man. This very frustrating to see like bad management and like how can you do that trade without getting a lot of assets back to that. But yeah, Buffalo's gonna be continue to be Buffalo, and I don't know what's gonna happen with them in the future. But yeah, I feel like obviously Boston is a Boston is a clear winner in this trade because they did add Taylor Hall, so it could be a win for them if like they make a deep playoff run and they win a couple series. So yeah, it could be a win for them, but like at the same time, if Taylor Hall doesn't produce and he just doesn't work out at all, then that's gonna be a horrible trade. But yeah, we shall see.
Yeah, so I think we'll move on to the Leafs, but I'll just give my
So one more,
final
one more,
thoughts.
one more thing.
I know, just Karn, we gotta get onto
I
some
know, I
Leafs
know.
topics, man.
I
It's
know,
a
I know,
Leafs
I know.
podcast.
So-
All right, last thoughts.
one,
Last
one-
thoughts.
One more thing. Kevin from Greg Wyshynski. Kevin Adams traded Eric Stahl, who he got from Marcus Johansson. So that's nothing. Taylor Hall, who signed 1 year, $8 million. I'm trying to search the Brandon Montour trade, but I don't remember it. So Brandon Montour for a second, 2/3, a fifth, and Andreas Bjork. That's something else. That's just a tweet that ends them all. Like you're gonna get you don't even get a first round pick. You get a second, 2/3, and a fifth, and a guy who hasn't scored on Boston, who's been like a 1-line.
But yo, going back to the Davis trade, that means they got a better deal. Columbus is a clear like, got a better deal comparing this to the Taylor Hall trade, right? Would get
Yo, Harmon, you just cut out
what the
so much.
fuck? Oh my god. Okay, I just seen a trade. Oh my god. They traded a first round pick and Brendan Goody for Brendan Montour. Oh my god. Holy shit. So they essentially traded a first round pick for Brendan Montour and they traded a good prospect in Brendan Gooley, a first round pick for Brendan Montour. And then they fucking traded Brendan Montour for fifth round pick. Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. That's just it doesn't summarize what the fuck Buffalo's doing, then I don't know what the fuck does. Cause how the fuck you trade a first round pick for Brendan Montour? And they traded for fifth round pick to fucking Florida. Like, come on guys. Like do better. Like just please do better. Like I feel so bad for the fans. Like how do you fucking trade a first round pick for Brendan Montour? Like just please stop.
Yeah, all right. So I'll close up the thoughts now. We can get to some Leaf stuff because we probably can't record for too much longer. I honestly think the only reasonable solution to this is like changing either ownership or ownership changing their view on the franchise because I think it's the Pagula brothers or the Pagula family that are the owners, and like
Kim and Terry Pagula. Sorry,
Yeah.
it's the third on pick, not fifth on pick. Sorry, it's the third on pick
Yeah.
for Brandon Montour.
So, like, toxic mentality in that organization, and it's not gonna get fixed unless it starts from the top. That's pretty much it. All right. I'm sure next week we'll have a brand new Buffalo story, and we can come back to this Taylor Hall topic then. But for now, let's talk about the Leafs trades. So I'll just quickly list all the trades, and everyone can just talk about them all together. So Riley Nash for a seventh, Nick Foligno for a first, fourth, and a fourth, Big Save Dave for a third, Ben Hutton for a fifth, and then we give Barabanov a chance to play somewhere else for Suomela. So I love the Leafs moves. I think the Leafs had a fantastic trade deadline considering what the team is right now. I don't know about you guys, but I'm so much happier that that Dubas when I got Nick Foligno instead of Taylor Hall. Like you guys can give your guys input on this, but I would prefer having Nick Foligno on the Leafs rather than Taylor Hall. The Leafs right now, like their locker room is amazing. The locker room chemistry is amazing. Toronto Maple Leadership, which is gonna be the podcast title. Another former captain. Like I don't know. What do you guys think?
Would you rather have Foligno or Savard?
I think Foligno was the best player on the market and the best player traded. Maybe Mantha and Vrana. I think those two were probably the best. But again, that was just like a weird trade. Other than the
Yeah,
Mantha Vrana trade, I think Nick Foligno was the most impactful player on the market. No Leafs bias.
fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you for the most part. Like, I think Dubas had a good deadline. The key here for me is that he didn't move any roster players or any key prospects. If we don't count Barabanov, because that wasn't really a deadline move to help the team. That was just like a nice favor to Barabanov, so I don't count that. Um, I think in terms of picks, we may have like slightly overpaid, but I think I'm okay with that because we got the salary retention and we didn't send any prospects their way. And draft picks, as we talked about before, aren't really like as valuable this year, at least not the first rounders. Um, and like last year we had a crazy draft where I'm pretty sure we picked like 12 guys last year, and a lot of them are looking like pretty legit prospects. So we know that Dubas can do stuff in the later rounds. And I think he'll probably end up turning our 3 picks this year into like 4 or 5 by trading down more. So I like it overall. I think the Nash move was really clever, like adding a guy for essentially free, like a conditional seventh is whatever, and you don't take on any salary because you can just stash him on LTIR. So I think that was a really good move. I think Foligno is solid. Um, and I'm excited to see where he fits in on the team and how he helps. Personally, I see him on like the third line for like kind of a checking shutdown line, but we'll see how that goes. I think Rittich was a good pickup for goaltending depth as well. And I would have liked a better defenseman than Ben Hutton, just in case, if somebody ends up going down in the playoffs, knock on wood. I think it would be nice to have somebody who's better than Ben Hutton, but I mean, I can't really fault Dubas there because there wasn't tons of people available that really would have been um, worth the price, and he probably would have had to give up a prospect to get anybody that would be. So I think overall it's a solid deadline, and Dubas addressed like everything that we needed him to. So
Would
can't
you
really
rather
complain.
have Hall or Foligno?
Definitely Foligno instead of Hall. I don't know if I'd rather have Foligno instead of Savard though. I think the insurance on defense would just be really nice versus forward. Like we don't have anybody in the organization like or who's not playing on the team right now that can add what Foligno would add. Like aside from Simmons and the guys that are there already, we don't have anybody we can call up that can be a Foligno. But I think we're deeper at forward than we are at D, so I wouldn't have minded getting Savard instead of Foligno. But I'm happy with either one. They're both good guys, and I think they're both going to help the team that they went to.
Okay, so I think the Roddy Nash is a clever move. Besides the LTIR, you can get the thing. They got a right shot. So what Dubas and Keefe were what Dubas and Keefe were looking for in the off season was the right shot face off penalty killer. So they got that in Roddy Nash. Cause we all know Spezza was taking the draws and he can't stay out there for too long, or else he will be exposed. On the penalty kill. Um, yeah, so they got that. They got that taken care of. Nick Foligno was a big acquisition because the way you look at it, you need grit. You need guys who can go into the corners. They didn't have that on the second line. I think he's going on the second line. So you got Galchenyuk, Matthews, Martin on the first line. If that sticks together, Foligno, Tavares, Nylander, and then you got Hyman, Mikheyev, Engvall on the third line. That's the pure checking line. Because remember, they play really well together. I hope Engvall can start winning faceoffs because that's what he needs to do. And then you got Simmons, Spezza, and Kerf on the fourth line. You talk about Thornton. You gotta have to talk about someone. I think it's Thornton because he's been struggling his ass off lately. Um, those are my lines for when Firino comes back. Firino provides that like veteran leadership that you need to get what you needed to get into the playoffs and to succeed in the playoffs. I know he hasn't been by the second round, but the thing is, he's been a crucial part in the Columbus area and the Columbus locker room. Um, they've been, I think, a really tight knit group there too. When they were beating guys like when they went into the playoffs and beat like Tampa and stuff, they were the winning the tight knit group back then, and now we're a tight knit group here too in Toronto. But with what Dewis and Hyman said at the second intermission, I think last on Tuesday night when they were versing Calgary. Um, yeah, so that's where I stand. I think that was a good acquisition. Hopefully, he can produce in the playoffs. Like he gets into the corners and like he provides that grit that we need with Tavares and Nylander. And Tavares has a lot of grit too. Don't get me wrong. He's a little king. He's a little thing king. He gets into dirty area. He does little things. I know 11 million might be overpay right now, but I think he does little things right, and he does stuff that like we don't notice as like we're watching and stuff. We don't notice as much as like coaches notice or like other players notice and stuff like that. Like getting into the corners, digging the puck out, like especially like the first goal on against Calgary. Like he would like him and Matthew. Like when they get the puck, it's not easy to body them off of it. Like the way they turn, the way they shift, the way they control the puck and stuff, the way they use their body. Like it's mostly like impossible to get them off the puck. You have to cross check them with which what like effective defensemen do because they know they're not going to get called for, which is pretty stupid in my opinion. But that's another conversation for another day. But yeah, so he provides that grit where like Tavares and Foligno can go into the corners, and that leaves Nylander. That leaves Nylander like mostly open because they're gonna be the two defensemen are gonna be like on Tavares and Foligno, and the way that Nylander is, he can just be more deceptive, and they can forget about him. Maybe like they can just forget about him. They can go into a slot and shoot some pucks to the net. Hopefully, he doesn't miss the net as much. Ben Hunt mostly like a left shot, the depth defenseman where he can like come in. Maybe he fights. He fights. We know that he fights. Like he protects his teammates, which we like. Like you're not gonna like another thing. You're not gonna have a good like what Steve Dangle says. You're not gonna have a good time in either line. You're gonna have Flynn on the second. You're gonna have Hyman on the third. And you're gonna have Matthew the first line. You're gonna have Simmons on the fourth, and Thornton or whatever. Great. And then on defense, you're gonna have Roddy who's low key on a nice time. You're gonna have Muddin who's on a nice time. You're gonna have Bogosian who's on a nice time. Yeah, but you're gonna have like Van Hunt and David like is just insurance, like a safety blanket. Like he's not gonna be able to come in and give you like a good playoff performance. He's just a safety blanket in case Campbell or Freddie Anderson go down again. And who knows if Anderson's gonna get back to form after the playoffs or anything. So that's my thing. So that's a long thing, but like that's mine. That's my opinion on the trade.
Yeah, Jaskran pretty much hit it on the spot, covering all of them. But like I think leadership and depth on the forward end was one of our bigger issues last year in the playoffs. Like when the star talent dries up, you need that strong leadership and to like push them forward. And this year we went out and acquired like Thornton, Simmons, and like now Nick Foligno as well. So like that's a big, big addition. And I would rather have him than Savard. Like Savard would have been nice too, but I think having Brody and Hall on the right hand side this year, rather than Barry and Hall and CC last year, is a massive improvement already. And then I'm looking at the trade tracker, and defensemen like Ben Hutton went around that same trade value. Like Ben Hutton went for a fifth round pick. Jordy Ben went for a sixth round pick. Good Branson, who's terrible, went for a seventh round pick. So it's like all in that ballpark. So I think that was a fair trade as well. And the Riddich trade was, I don't think Anderson's gonna be fully healthy in the playoffs. So I think getting Riddich was a solid move.
Yeah, so what I think the Leafs did with the Nick Foligno trade, it was a great addition as it needed more leadership, that grittiness, and then the like the physical aspect of the playoffs. You need someone who's gonna be there to provide that in the playoffs as well. So it was a nice rental option that they got, and like Riley Nash is a nice third, fourth liner wherever he fits in with the lineup. because like as you know in the previous playoffs when he was playing on the opposing team it wasn't fun. So like to have him on our team as a depth option or maybe starting option is a great addition, but a great move by Dubas as well. And yeah, Big Save Dave is a nice goalie option. He has experience. He's been very great against the Leafs. As he's posting those Vesna games, and so like that was a great addition. Because as you know, if Fredrik Anderson doesn't end up coming back, we have him as our backup, and so that gives us a great like option as we head into playoffs. And Ben Hutton is a great addition if anybody goes down in the playoffs, as you guys previously mentioned. So that was an insurance move that Dubas made because there wasn't that many defense available in the trade deadline. And yeah, the Barabanov was trade happened just to give him an opportunity to play somewhere else where he could get more time. And I don't know about Suomela, but yeah, I think he's a good depth option. Maybe he's probably playing for the Marlies and somebody who maybe gets called up and put on the taxi squad. And yeah, I feel like the Leafs did a great job, probably the best job in the trade deadline, and I feel like they get an A+ in my overall the overall trades they made throughout the whole trade deadline.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna say one more thing. So they have 12 captain, 12 alternate or captains or whatever you want to call it, 12 letters on the team. 12 players who won letters. And one thing, I swear to God, I will fucking beef someone if someone fucking does. If someone fucking says fire Dubas one more fucking time, I'll fucking beef someone. Cause he's been doing he's been like evolving, and you can see that over time. Like he knew that he made mistakes. Like he blames himself. Like he doesn't blame the coach or anything. Like Babcock's like, oh, I blame whatever you want, blame whoever you want. He blamed himself for the 2019 whatever you want collapse, or he didn't give them the right players or something like that, or anything like that. He's been evolving. You see that he brought in better leadership. Now he brought in Foligno. Now he brought in Ben Hine, and now he brought in Riddich. Now he brought in that. Now he brought in that. He's been evolving, and you can see that over time too. Like he traded Kapanen, he traded Janssen, he traded that Janssen trade is low key a great trade because Janssen only has 10 points this whole season, and that's getting out from under that $3.5 million contract is some nice work by Dubas.
Man, I feel bad for Janssen, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, yeah. I feel
You
bad for him
can't
too,
you
but
can't win against Dubas haters, man. Like if you look at Twitter right now, they're saying, "Oh, like Dubas finally took off his advanced stats glasses and is
bro,
finally
okay,
listening to us."
no. Yeah, but I don't understand the dance stats thing. He's not analytical. Like you see, he's not
That's
that
what I'm
analytical as we think he is, right?
No,
Yeah, he's
he
like a mix
is
of
though,
both, which
and
is
he
perfect.
makes the right moves even though he's analytical. Like
He,
Yeah,
just
he's
because you're
both.
analytical doesn't mean that's the only thing you are.
yeah, like you see him evolving. Like he wanted a skill based team, and now he knows that. And now he looks at Tampa. He knows that it doesn't work properly. And he's brought in grit. Wayne Simmons, Joe Thornton, Dak Bogosian, even though they don't have good fancy stats, advanced stats, and you see him evolving. Like it's not like, oh, he took off his glass. Like shut up, you fucking bitches. Like you don't know.
Once again,
you know hockey is.
explicit warning to the
Sorry,
children.
excuse
Children, cover your
excuse
ears.
the swearing, yeah. Excuse the swearing, but still the same thing. Like, what do you want from him? Like, he's been evolving. He's been trying to evolve the whole time, and you can see that. Like, you see, we can and we will, and he did that. He maintained the top four, and that's what it is. Like, you gotta evolve when you're GM. That's how you stay in the league for a long time. Like, I swear to God, if I ever see one more guy saying fire Dubas, fire Dubas, fire Dubas, I'm gonna fucking go ham on Twitter, and they're gonna see that not on not on the
Yeah,
official account,
yeah, do
not
it on
not
your account,
not,
bro. Do it on your
not on the
account.
official account, but do it on my account. You're gonna see, watch. If I hear one more fire Dubas, watch that, watch my account.
Bro, it's
watch
just
it.
like,
Yo, I might just
just
tweet
like
that
people are
myself
too,
just to see.
bro,
Yeah,
it's
just
just
follow
people
me.
are too ignorant to not see like GMs evolving, like the new era of GMs, you know? Like, yo, like he knows his stuff. Like, leave him alone, you know? He's been having that experience since like whenever he was with like Sue and stuff. So like he knows his shit. I don't get why people get involved. They just like to get that clout, you know, when they're talking shit about him.
You know why? Cause he's young. He's young, and he's proving people that you can be young and succeed at the same time. That's what people don't like. You don't like young people coming in and changing shit. He's still, what is he, 33, 34? I don't know how old he is. What is he, 33? Let me check. Give me a quick second.
Something like that.
Yeah, he's 33, 34. And he's a GM, and he's been a GM for what, 2, 3 years now? This fourth year or something?
And he's built the best Leafs team I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, and he's 35, and he's born in Ontario, and he brought home Ontario boys. Thornton Simmons was in fucking Scarborough. He brought him home. Like, I don't understand what the fucking hatred is for him. He brought Ontario guys home. He brought Tavares home. He fucking ripped off Lou's legs and he fucking brought him home. I don't understand.
I got
Like, I
I
don't know
got
how you
some
hate him.
breaking news, guys. I got breaking news. The NHL delayed the Canucks' return to
By
play.
how long?
It doesn't have a new date yet, but I
So
think
this
at
game probably
least
postponed.
that Leafs game on Saturday is postponed. I
Okay.
guess we'll see about Monday, but I think it's likely that Saturday and Monday are going to be postponed.
Okay.
I guess
Going back
more
to
time for Nick
go-
Foligno.
Going back to that, he ripped off Lou and he brought him home. I don't understand how the fuck he hit that contract, but a guy from Toronto actually decided to come home and play for his hometown team, and you still fucking hate him. Like, I don't understand what brain factor you have. What
Karn,
like
it sounds like you're letting these guys live rent free in your head, man.
Referee, I don't give a fuck. Referee, I don't give a shit. You guys are fucking stupid as fuck. That's what I'm saying.
Bro, there's a whole
Rent
apartment in
free.
there.
Yo.
Babcock.
What I really think,
It's like a
There you
10-story
go.
what I really
apartment
think needs to
building,
happen,
People still on Babcock. I don't understand that.
man. Oh my god.
what I really think needs to happen is we need to see Jaskran debate with the Islanders fan. That would be like the most legendary thing.
I will.
Discard and Steve Simmons. man.
I will
Someone make it
fucking
happen.
fuck up Steve Simmons. I will debate him, and I will.
Nah, bro, you need to
clean the
be
shit
there
out
with
of him.
Steve Simmons, Steve Simmons and Darren Dreger, bro. You need to interview them, yo.
If I had a chance, I will do that. I will do that. To be honest, I would outpunk them like 300 times to the max. If
Okay,
I could.
guys. Back to Foligno.
I think
Never mind.
it's time for me to stop talking now.
Okay. I just want to quickly say I told you guys. I called that trade. Yeah, that's pretty much all I want to make it aware that I definitely called that trade. So yeah,
Does this mean Kyle Dubas listens to our podcast or what?
he listens to me. Like he just puts the podcast on and he just
hey,
records
hey.
when I'm talking and takes notes. You know.
Hey, me and
broken
Farmer are
clock.
partially correct.
Bro, you guys realize? Remember the predictions we made at the beginning of the year for which teams are gonna make the playoffs?
Yeah.
Guess who's right so far?
Guess who's right? You picked Vancouver.
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
I
you
said I
did.
didn't believe in Vancouver.
I didn't believe
Go back and
Vancouver
listen to
either. No,
Bro,
I
go
said-
back and listen to it. I said Toronto, Winnipeg, Edmonton, and Montreal.
I picked Vancouver and Calgary, so I know I'm wrong.
I didn't
Same,
pick Vancouver.
same.
I think
I picked Calgary.
I think I picked Calgary.
I picked Calgary and Vancouver, so I'm wrong too.
I didn't pick Vancouver because I didn't trust them. I picked Edmonton. I think I picked Winnipeg. I think I picked Calgary. And I picked Montreal too. I think
You know
I'll
what?
right too. I'm not
At the end of the
entirely
season,
sure, but-
we'll go back and we'll take record and we'll
Yeah.
we'll go back and reflect on who was right and wrong.
Yeah, for sure.
But just for the record, I was right about Nick Foligno.
And me and Hammer were partially correct because it's interesting kind of garden, so we were partially correct.
Yeah, but yeah, man, Nick Foligno, I think he's gonna be great. I remember in the playoffs last year, I said this about Savard, but Foligno too, man. Foligno pissed me off so much last year, and it's gonna be so exciting to have him piss off other teams potentially, right? So, I think we should probably wrap it up for now. It's gone pretty late. Probably by the next time we come back, Nick Foligno will be playing as well. We might have a full healthy lineup, and we'll talk then. See you guys. Make sure to like our podcast, share it to your friends if you guys enjoy it. See you guys next time.